Hey folks, I'm Chris and I'm your Commander Mechanic. I am a big fan of the exactly one build around that we saw with Gearsenstarn Kellermorph last year out of Warhammer 40,000, which means I'm doubly excited for the new Nixilis captive Kingpin coming in March of the Machine's Aftermath. On the surface, these two have the same gimmick: deal exactly 1 damage and get a bonus. That's cool because there's a lot of stuff that deals exactly 1 damage that may not see a lot of play in Commander because of the bigger creatures and higher life totals. But where Gearsenstarn is a passive commander, meaning he doesn't get involved in combat, just prefers to sit around plinking things with his ability, the new Nixlis is an active commander for a few reasons. Let's take a look. For 4 mana, Obi is back to being a legendary demon, this time Rakdos, and a 4/3 Flampler that says whenever 1 or more opponents each lose exactly 1 life, remember damage causes loss of life, put a +1/+1 counter on Nixilis. Exile the top card of your library, and until the end of your next turn you can play that card. This means that Nixilis wants to be attacking. He's going to become a big boy with double evasion, and it's also a card advantage engine. What an absolute unit! But unlike Gearson, we're swapping the passive blue component with a deadly black component. And while we aren't exactly dealing with creatures as efficiently, we're definitely capable of ending the game sooner. But before we take a look at how, be sure to hit all those good buttons. Like, subscribe, comment, and ring the bell to join the Brew crew and never miss a deck. I want to address the 5 mana elephant in the room. Yes, Nixilis is another commander that goes infinite with All Will Be One. With these two out, conveniently curving into each other, all you have to do is have an opponent lose a single life and you start the chain. A counter is placed on Nixilis, All Will Be One triggers to deal exactly 1 damage to an opponent, triggering Nixilis to get a counter, and you repeat until your opponents and library are gone. This may seem easy, but I don't think it's nearly as powerful or oppressive as some combos featuring All Will Be One. If you base your deck around tutoring up the combo and rushing to it, sure, it can be really good, but you don't always have ways to protect your commander or combo piece, so keep that in mind. With that out of the way, how would I build this deck? What pieces do we borrow from a Gearsenstarn list, and what black pieces make the best additions? There are a few ways to build this deck which is really refreshing. You could build it as a treasure-based brew, all about making treasures and pinging down opponents. You could do an aristocrats brew, since most aristocrats make opponents lose 1 life when creatures die. Or you could do a group slug brew like I've chosen to focus on. And that's for one important reason. You only have until your next end step to cast cards exiled with Nixilis. This means if you're spending mana on your turn to deal damage on your turn, you only have your turn to cast cards you've impulsively drawn. However, if we build our deck to trigger on opponents' turns, we get all those sweet exiled cards to pick and choose from on our turn. We're not forced to exile something we really want but can't cast, stockpiling up like so many cards to choose from on our turns. So what I've done is include a bunch of things that trigger on opponents' turns for 1 damage or 1 life loss. Immolation Shaman, Rampaging Ferocidon, and the criminally underrated Nightshade Harvester are all excellent examples of this. While we cast these on our turn, they won't trigger until our opponents start taking actions like activating effects, playing creatures, or playing lands. Since they all create individual triggers, they all stack up, causing Nixilis to get out of control fast, both in size and card advantage. How about punishing our opponents for doing everyone's favorite thing, drawing cards? Underworld Dreams and Fate Unraveler both make opponents take 1 when they draw a card. So every card drawn could be getting us 2 Nixilis triggers every turn. It'll make opponents think twice about drawing with that Rhystic Study out, that is for certain. And we can put some shields up with effects like Hissing Miasma, Blood Reckoning, and Marchesa's Decree. All three do the exact same thing. Whenever a creature attacks us, its controller loses exactly 1 life. So this could be triggering for each creature an opponent foolishly sends at us. It's a good deterrent for crackbacks when Nixlis starts swinging for the fences. How about triggers we want to control? What if we want to be getting just a little bit of an advantage, as a treat, on our own turns? Well then we have attack triggers. They cost us nothing, so it means we have all of our mana once we get some sweet Nixlis triggers. Hellrider is a fantastic example here, dealing 1 damage to the defending player we attack for each creature we attack them with. That's just straight up X counters and X cards. Carnage Gladiator does the same thing but for blocking. Whenever a creature blocks, its controller loses 1 life. So if we can force some chump blocking, like that of a massive flying demon, we get triggers. Or some of the best controllable methods, Pestilence and Pyrohemia. These can be activated on opponents' turns to take out small creatures and plink everyone down enough to get a trigger. As they're both functionally identical, they become 1 mana to put a counter on Nixlis and impulse draw a card. We can back our opponents into a real "you did this to yourself" corner as well. Cards like Liability, Gix Yawgmoth Praetor, and Calculating Lich all incentivize our opponents to consider whether they want to sacrifice that permanent, or attack that player, or draw that card. It's in their control, so they can't complain when you untap with 10 bonus cards to choose from exile. And with that being said, we definitely want some synergy pieces for casting from exile. Wild Magic Sorcerer, Nalfishni, and Keeper of Secrets all let us cast more spells, or throw damage around, or even copy spells. My favorite. It means that as we continue to accrue value, we get more value. Makes for a fantastic strategy. This also means you do not want to be sleeping on Passionate Archaeologist. This background makes Nixlis deal damage to opponents when we cast spells from exile. This can get really good really fast, especially if we give Nixlis lifelink with a Shadow Spear or Basilisk Collar. Now we're talking crazy. The part where this differs from Gearsenstarn's direction is that you're not as good at controlling the board. It's tougher to remove creatures since you don't get a boost there, or as many one-sided board wipes as you can with Gearson. Fortunately, because Nixlis is such a good attacker, you're ending the game a lot sooner with fewer actions taken or spells cast than you would be with Starn. You're also a much better card advantage engine too, ensuring that your options are wide open all game long. I like this gimmick as a build around, and I am already seeing people say that they want both Gearson and Nixlis inside a Nekusor the Mindrazor deck to take advantage of the synergies between all three. What do you think about this wild build around theme? What direction would you take Nixlis in your personal builds? Let me know in the comments below. Check out these other brews, and if you are inspired by today's deck tech, you have to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, folks, and as always, good luck and have fun.